right, folks, so you know how I said I was going to try to find Jackson a beater with a heater, and I've been kind of hunting around for about, I don't know, a couple 3 weeks now, you know, cruising Facebook Marketplace like we all do, you know how it is. And well, yesterday I stumbled across something that came up for sale, and I was like, I probably ought to go check that out. So the ad said that it needs a transmission. That's literally all it said. I had a few pictures, you know, 3 or 4 pictures that were decent. And I was just like, yeah, I better go check that out. Because I was like, well, it's keep you out of suspense here. It's a 98 Chevy short bed, 2-wheel drive, regular cab pickup. 4.3 truck, automatic. Said it needs a tranny. And I'm sitting there going, I'm like, well, I got a 704 sitting in the shop. I can slap that thing right in there. And I was like, well, once I got there, started looking at it, I was like, it's a 4L60. I don't have one of those. But anyways, talking with the guy, looking the truck over, I was at the point of going, man, it's just more than I'm really wanting to get into right now, you know. And he threw me a number that I was just, all right, well, I guess I'm buying it. so the deals are still out there. You can still find them. And this thing is going to be ultimate budget built high schooler vehicle thing. So if you are a high schooler, or you know a high schooler who's getting to be about driving age, they got a little part-time job, you know, maybe out cutting grass, doing odd jobs, whatever, and you can save up a couple $1,000, you can still find pretty good stuff. I mean, you know, this truck's a little rougher than I like, but it's, for the most part, it's still a pretty good truck. So without further ado, right now we're calling this one Raggedy Ann because well, it's red and it's a little ragged. So both sides look identical, which I think is hilarious because both sides have a dent back here in the bedside, and both sides have had the front door, you know, the doors pulled. So so both sides have the exact same scenario going on right here with the fender and the door. And then they both have this really nice giant dent. But tailgate's pretty straight. A couple little dings here and there, nothing bad. But yeah, you can see our dent here. We got another little dent down here, another little dent down there, and same dent there. Now this is a work truck, so it does not have a ton of options. You know, it's got dents in the hood, but I had a parts truck that I had torn down a few years ago, and it had a really good hood on it. So I actually have a hood that'll work on this truck. Obviously it needs a windshield. It's got a big, you know, crack in it up there. Crack kills.
This is crack, and it can kill you.
So, but it's a good little truck. Like I said, 4.3. Interior, pretty basic. Vinyl floor, crank windows, manual locks. You know, it's missing a few pieces here and there. Surprisingly enough, the guy told me it's only been off the road about 7 or 8 months. So if I remember correctly, it was his father-in-law's truck, and the tranny went out and he parked it. He couldn't give me much information about what was actually going on with the transmission. So he said it did run, and it ran good. And he said the air conditioning still worked, which, you know, is amazing. So he said the AC still works on it, but, you know, it's got the typical driver's side seat cushion massacre thing going on here. But I mean, really, it's not bad. It ain't got a bunch of rust in it. You know, cab corners are good and solid. You know, it's dented, you know, but whatever. So the funny thing is, I'm looking at this truck going, with the amount of money I paid on this truck, which was not much, I can buy a whole front clip, hood, core support, grill, fenders, bumper. Just cruising around on Facebook Marketplace last night, I found a whole front clip for $250. I can buy both doors, because you can buy the same doors from a Tahoe or a pickup truck. I can buy both driver and passenger doors for like $60 a piece, and then you can find a pretty decent bed for anywhere from $250 to $400 or $500 for a pretty decent bed. So I mean, really, I could probably drop another $1,000 and completely transform this truck. We're not going to do that, at least right now. So, you know, it's got, I painted the wheels red. These front tires are not too bad. It probably needs ball joints. Inside of the tires pretty wore down. Back tires are, well, they're trying. Let's get underneath the hood. So you can see it's pretty well untouched. I mean, it doesn't look like anything's been monkeyed with at all underneath this hood. I'm gonna guess, I mean, it's still got the factory clips on the upper radiator hose. Definitely got a little valve cover leak on both sides. I haven't started this thing. He said it ran pretty good last time it was started. But I haven't started it. We didn't have a battery for it. I'm actually going to pull the battery out of Steve and fire the battery. But you know, when pulling the dipstick out, we got, you know, pretty nice black oil in it. I don't, you know, it doesn't have any milkshake to it. Doesn't look, it doesn't look bad. Definitely is old, but it don't look bad. And then the trans fluid, I was looking at that because, you know, they said the tranny doesn't work. And so this is the weird thing, is the trans fluid is, well, yeah, it's got a little tint of red to it, but it's pretty dark. So I'm guessing it's probably got burned up clutches in it. So I'll probably dump a little fluid down in there after we get her running. Dump a little fluid in the trans and see if it maybe pulls in any gear. Honestly, don't know if it will or won't. We'll find out. But I got a line on another tranny. It's like 300 bucks. It's had a recent rebuild, so I'm probably gonna touch base with that fella and see if I can get that thing on deck. But yeah, there it is. So plans that we have for this thing are, we're gonna lower it. We're gonna do a very budget lowering kit. Basically axle flip in the back, and we're just gonna cut the coil springs up front. Really set this thing down probably 5 or 6 inches in the back, and it'll probably be, you know, 3-ish, maybe 4 inches up front. So go ahead and just drop this guy down. The wheels on this guy I'm not really crazy about. I've got the set of Steelies that came off of Steve. They'll bolt right up, but I also have the wheels that came off of my dad's van, and they're a dual bolt pattern. They'll bolt right up. So I could slap those guys on here. So, and I got, you know, there's good tires on that one. So I don't know. So we're going to, I think right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Jackson out here with the pressure washer. And since it's on the trailer and we can get underneath it real easier, I'm going to set him loose with the pressure washer, hitting the underside of it, try to knock any loose dirt, grease, grime, crap as much as we can off the bottom. So that way we don't, you know, get up underneath there and just come out just look like we swam in an oil slick. And then once we get that done, I'll roll it off the trailer, and then we'll start cleaning up the rest of it. So I guess we'll check back in with you here in just a little bit. All right, turned Jackson loose on this guy and pressure washed the underside, the bed out, all over, all around, and well, here we are. It turned out pretty good. I mean, not much different than it looked beforehand, but you know, we got a nice clean bed, and the roof was really bad. It looks a lot better now, and then this looks a little bit better underneath the hood, so it ain't just dusty and filthy and dirty. So I think what we're going to do now is I think we're going to try and fire this guy, see if it'll fire off and run. It does not have a battery in it. I'm going to steal the battery out of Steve, and I know the guy I bought it from said that somebody started to take the transmission out. So I did put a battery on it earlier and try to hit the key just to see if it'd bump over, and I got nothing. So we could hear the fuel pump kick and hear the initial squirt of the injectors, but nothing else. So I'm wondering if this guy has like a neutral safety switch or something along those lines on there that's been disconnected. So now it's just like, oh, I'm in gear, so I better not start. So so we're gonna look at that and see what we can't do, and try and get this thing fired off, just to at least make sure that it runs. You know, the folks that I bought the truck from seemed pretty honest, seemed pretty, you know, forthright. You know, didn't look like they were trying to screw me over on anything. So so I got no reason to not believe them. So anyhow, I guess that's what we're gonna do, is see if we can't get this thing to fire off. So we'll catch up here in just a moment. All right, folks, so when I picked this up, they said that they had started taking stuff apart. So I just climbed under here a minute ago, and the shifter cable was disconnected. So I just reconnected this guy. It was actually hanging way over there. This connector was disconnected, and then obviously this connector is not right. Looks like they pulled a little hard, and they pulled the whole back half of this off. I think this is I'm not 100% sure. I don't know these transmissions, but from what I was reading and looking at, it looks like this is the neutral safety switch module thing, I guess. This should have a matching wiring harness on this side of it, which it does not. So I climbed around in here and got it kind of plugged in, I hope. I was using basically needle nose to try to help shove these guys inside the plug, to where this thing is, you know, now hooked back up. They'd also disconnected the O2 sensor. So I've got all that hooked up, I guess. I don't know if it's making a good enough connection or not. If it's not, I did read that you can bypass the neutral safety switch by bridging this purple wire and this yellow wire. So worst case, I can bridge those two together, and that should disable the neutral safety switch. So I guess I'm gonna go up here, throw a battery in it, and I guess give her a twist and see if she works. Be back in a second. All right, folks, so I see a lot of folks talking about battery sponsors, you know, stuff like that. I don't have one. So this battery is sponsored by Steve, because that's where I stole this battery out of. It will be going back. So I don't know if any of y'all have priced batteries here recently, but oh my God. I can get El Cheapo battery for this thing. I can't remember what it was. It was $129 or something like that. It wasn't much. I'm just gonna take that off. It wasn't too terribly bad, you know, $129 for a, you know, a battery. But it was like 600 crank amps. And then what was the next one? I think it was 150, something like that, for the 650 crank amps with a 2-year warranty. And then for like the 800 or 800 and something crank amp battery, it's $200, which is insane. So yeah, batteries are very expensive right now, so we're holding off on buying a battery till we absolutely have to. So right now, Steve is the way to go. And somewhere down the line, somebody used a pair of pliers. Not saying it was me. Probably was. But anyways. Didn't have a wrench handy, so, you know, pair of pliers, it'll work. So, don't judge. Don't judge me. All right. So, now, let's see what you do. Well, it cranks and it fired off for just a second, but that did not sound good. I don't know if it's because they've taken like the torque converter loose or what, but the motor is kind of doing a little hippity hoppity sound to it. So that motor may be down a little bit in some cylinders. But I don't know. I think I'm gonna get a little can of some carb cleaner and maybe give her a little laughing gas and see what happens. So I'll be right back. Give her, pump the gas just really quick. Okay. Fire it. It's almost like I ain't getting any fire. Turn it over again. So I put carb cleaner down the yap of this guy, and it wasn't firing. It fired the one time. It did not sound good, but I threw some carb cleaner down it and it still wouldn't fire back off. So now I've actually pulled off the number 3 cylinder plug wire and just kind of got it wedged over here, where hopefully I can get a decent enough ground and I can look in here and see if it's throwing sparks. So so that's what we're going to do. Turn it over. Tell me whenever you're fixing to crank it off. Go ahead. Just keep cranking until I tell you. All right. Nope, no spark. Well, that solves that little question. Where did number 3 spark plug wire go? There it is. Okay.
You want me to cut it off?
You don't have to roll the switch all the way back, but just turn it off so that the dash isn't lit up. Okay. So another way to verify if you got the spark or not is with a timing light. So you can throw a timing light on the number 1. It works pretty much the same as if you were trying to time a motor out. It should pick up, you know, it's an inductive light, so it should pick up that signal traveling through the spark plug wire and should light this guy off. So Jackson, go ahead and crank it over. Yeah, getting no light through that. So definitely got an ignition issue, so you can cut it off. So now we get to go over here and start troubleshooting and figure out why we don't have spark. Hey, it fired once.
Yeah.
So that's
Positivity.
that's, you know,
There's a chance.
it's a $600 truck.
Yeah.
When you start getting frustrated, just remember, $600 truck. It's gonna have problems. These are gonna be our coil. So let's pop this guy out. I'm gonna guess red is gonna be my hot. Go get my voltmeter. Alright, so voltmeter, and I'm looking for 12 volts coming into the coil, so turn the ignition on. I'm plugging up to the red on the on this little wire harness here. So got the red hooked up, and I'm showing 1185, which is pretty good. Cut the key off. All right, cuts the key off. Lose power, so we're getting power to our coil. So that's half the battle. Now we need to see if we're getting power out of the coil. Highly unlikely that the coil is bad, but you never know. Could be the coil wire's bad, because that thing feels sloppy, but it probably isn't. All right, let me grab some pliers. All right, son, turn it over for me. Hang on. All right, son, crank it. Crank it again. Alright. I get nothing out of the coil. So I got no power coming from the coil. So I wonder if we got a bad coil. Alright, got my trusty meter back out. And let's see if we can't find a spot to set this guy. Hey, there we go. Throttle body works just fine. So I was checking. I've actually never checked one of these coils before, so it's new to me. But looking online, it says that it should have a resistance of 0.7 to 1.7, and it was a little foggy on whether or not it was actual ohms or k ohms, you know, kiloohms. But it said connect up positive to the negative on the wiring harness side, and I'm assuming positive, make sure I got the right wire. Yeah, this guy. Positive is going to be my red, which is going to be over here farthest to the left. And then I've got a white one and I've got a black and white one. So I don't know which one's the actual negative, but it said 1.7, 7 to 1.7, 0.7 to 1.7. This should be what we see. And I'm seeing 0.4. And there I'm seeing 0.4. Now, it was saying go from the negative to the post in here. And if it's open, then it's definitely bad. So, I do believe this coil's bad. That's the way she's acting. So, I may have one stashed away somewhere. I'm gonna look around and see. I may not have one for this truck. I may have to buy one. I do not know. All right, folks. So I ran out of daylight. You know, summer's coming to an end. What are you gonna do? Whatever. So according to the goggle machine, I have a bad ignition coil. Hopefully, that's why we're not getting spark anywhere. So they're like $35. It's no big deal. I'll go pick one of those guys up tomorrow and slap that in there, see if we can't get her fired up. Hopefully it'll sound better than it did that first time I fired it, because that first fire did not sound good. It's a little worrisome there. So you know, if the motor's trash, it's not a big deal. It sucks, yeah, but it's not the end of the world. We got into that truck just stupid cheap. You know, quick story on that. Give you a quick rundown on what happened there. This past Friday, cruising Facebook Marketplace. Like I said, I'm looking for something for Jackson, something cheap, something I ain't got to spend a whole lot of time and money on to make run, just to get him from A to B. You know, till I can get the K5 done and he can take, you know, start driving that guy all the time. So I stumbled across this thing. You know, basically the ad said 98 Chevy, short bed, regular cab, two-wheel drive truck, needs transmission. That's it. They had it listed at $1,000. So I was like, oh man, that's not bad. So quick shot him a message, got done with work, hauled butt over here to the house, grabbed some cash, took off right down there to where they are. They're only 20-25 minutes down the road from me. Get down there, start looking at it. I'm like, well, the truck's a little rougher than it actually looks in the pictures. I wasn't expecting pristine. I mean, really, $1,000 truck, you're not expecting anything fantastic. So I wasn't expecting much. It was a little rougher than what I was expecting, but that's not a huge deal. So start looking at it, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, the big kicker for me was needs a transmission. Heck, I got a 700 R4 sitting over in the corner. It's a good tranny. And I didn't think that whatever year that was, 95, 96, they went to the 4L60. Maybe earlier. I honestly can't remember. But I didn't even think about it being a 4L60 in that truck. So, you know, once I looked under it and was just like, ah, crap, that's a 4L60 trans. I could convert it over to 700 and do all that. I would rather literally just pull that one out and slap a new one in. That's kind of where I was going at with this. So, so I told the guy, I was like, look, man, it's a little more project than what I really, really want right now. You know, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to walk away. I'm sorry. You know, he was really cool with it. He was actually a really cool guy. Sit there and just chit-chatted with him for a little bit. And he goes, well, I'll tell you what, man. He goes, he's like, would you buy it for $600? And I was like, damn it. Yeah, go get the title. Angrily handing $600. So anger bought the truck, I guess you could say. So I was just like, really, $600, guys. I mean, come on. So bought it, went and got a trailer, picked it up, drug it back here to the house. And, you know, and then that leads to today where we're cleaning it up and doing all that fun stuff. So we're in the truck for really good money. I mean, roughly $700. If I buy the ignition coil for it, it's going to put me at about $700 with the trailer rental and all that. So, you know, $700 in this truck, not a big deal. If I got to replace the motor and the trans, still not a big deal. You know, I can find a 350, a 305, 4.3, you know, they're not everywhere, but they're out there, you know. So I would hope I could get maybe an engine trans, you know, with 150, 200,000 miles on it. I don't know, $600, $700, $800. And I'm still in good shape with the truck. So I'm not too terribly worried about it. It'd be nice if that motor actually runs, and that's just that much less money I got to spend on it. Because the real point of this truck is I want to do it as cheaply as possible. And I also want to kind of show everybody else that, hey, look, you can still build a beater truck. You know, you can build a truck that's kind of cool. Yeah, it's rough, but who cares? But you can still build one for $1,500, $2,000, you know. It's a lot harder nowadays. You really got to hunt for the deals. That's the kicker now. You can't just go and go, oh yeah, there are a dozen of these things. You really got to hunt for it nowadays. I mean, I've been looking for about 3 weeks, and then I stumbled across this guy. So that's kind of where we're at with that guy. I'm definitely going to keep working on it. You know, like I said, I want to get this guy up and running for Jackson. So he has that as that will be his first vehicle until we get the K5 done. God only knows when that's going to be. If I stop buying project vehicles, maybe I can get this K5 done. So anyhow, so that's kind of where we stand with that. You know, I'll get this guy up and running, hopefully, for decent money, and then, you know, see where it goes. Down the road after it's up and running, he can drive it for a little bit. Maybe he's got a job. He's got a little bit, you know, a few bucks he wants to throw at it here and there. You know, maybe we'll go ahead and do replace some of the panels that are all beat to pieces. You know, literally every panel has a dent. The only thing that isn't dented that I can tell is the roof and the tailgate. They've got a couple dings, but they're not like caved in or dented. I'm okay with dings, no big deal. But man, those dents in the bedside are bad. The ones in the doors right there at the fender edge, it's rough, man. That thing looks rough as a cob. But I mean, it's been used as a truck, so you know, to be expected here. It doesn't have any rust. I've crawled all over that thing today, and I haven't found a lick of rust on it. So I'm excited about it. Hopefully y'all guys are too. You know, get to tune in and see what we get to do on this guy. Don't worry about the Blazer. I'm going to continue working on that. You know, it's not getting shoved to the back. I'm still going to work on the Blazer. Don't worry about that. Actually, I'm probably going to come out here tomorrow and finish up this tail pan, try to get that other panel, you know, made and welded in. Try to get that done tomorrow. So I'm still going to be working on the Blazer. Basically, I'm going to try and juggle, glutton for punishment here, but I'm going to try and juggle 2 projects. The Blazer may end up getting pushed off for, you know, a month or so. But with this thing, that kind of takes that pressure off of me of having to get him something to drive. So that's kind of the way I'm kind of looking at it here. So with that, we're going to wrap it up for this week. I do appreciate y'all guys watching. If you like the video, just go ahead and hit that like button. If you've made it this far and you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting on? Just hit the little subscribe thing down there. But I do appreciate y'all guys watching. It means a ton. Keep throwing the comments out there. Keep spreading the word, letting people know. And we'll see y'all guys next week. And just remember, it ain't got to be perfect. Just good enough. We'll see y'all later.